Nafplion was originally a walled city back in the medieval days. Nowadays, this quiet city huddles along the north shore of this small rocky peninsula, crowned by its ancient citadel. Neighborhood cat club having gathering on the streets of Nafplion. And we like to have a leisurely pace on our trips. Generally, we spend 2 nights in each location. Occasionally it's 1 night, but sometimes it's even 3 nights to give you a real good look at the places that we visit. And we help get you to the most beautiful sights, like this morning walk along the waterfront in Nafplion. Everything is carefully planned so you don't have to worry about the details, and sometimes we run into these surprises, like a Venetian fortress in the middle of the harbor, or beautiful reflections in the early morning dawn. There's a convenient walkway that'll take you out on the docks. You can go right past the harborfront cafes here in Nafplion. Very peaceful and beautiful spot, especially in the springtime, which is when we like to travel to Greece, going in March. If you go in the summertime, it's going to be quite hot, so be prepared for that. Or another good season to go would be in October or even as late as November.
A lot different than Waikiki.
It's so quaint, just beautiful.
Nafplion is a surprisingly charming seaside town with a very well-preserved old historic center. It has a rich history that mixes the Venetian occupation with Turkish occupations, and for centuries it was a very important trading center at the crossroads of East and West. Our modern hotel was located right inside the old Venetian fortification with a beautiful view up on the hill. The Venetian fort looks like a stone ship at sea. It was built in the 14th century and it's been guarding the harbor ever since. An amazing structure. We're enjoying a 4-day classical tour as part of our longer holiday in Greece, riding along with our wonderful tour guide, Poopy.
Group request to stay here for a week. Kalimera.
Typically, the 4-day tour stays for 3 nights. You stay with the first night in Nafplion, as we have just enjoyed, and then the second night you'd stay in Olympia, and the third night you stay in Delphi and enjoy the spectacular sight of the ruins of Delphi and the Oracle. But in today's show, we're heading towards Olympia, the site of the first Olympic Games, and a place that has many ancient ruins beautifully preserved. And not only are we having fun, we're learning a lot too. This is the museum at the site of Olympia, and it's a very educational and rewarding visit. They have the statues that were from the pediment of the Temple of Zeus. There's the god Apollo, the son of Zeus, standing in the center. This is one of the finest collections of early classical statues in all of Greece.
We're lucky to have them in Greece, as you realize, because the 5th century art, being the best, was the first one to take away. Handsome statue, That's Apollo, the god of sound, of music and harmony. It's the statue of Hermes by Praxiteles. Hermes is holding there his little half-brother Dionysus and is running away from the vengeance of the wife of Zeus, Hera. So that's the moment they feel safe enough to stop and rest. So he leans on the trunk of the tree. He shows something to the baby to please him. And we think that what he had in that raised hand was a bunch of grapes, because Dionysus is the future god of wine, so that would please him. It's his element. Now this is considered the masterpiece of the 4th century BC, and together with the pediments of the temple of Zeus from the 5th century are the jewels of this museum. You know, many people, when they come in here and they've seen Florence, they tell me this reminds me of David. It is normal, because David was made by Michelangelo, who was a Renaissance artist. What do we mean by this French word Renaissance? We mean rebirth. A rebirth of what? Rebirth of classical prototypes. So every time that man goes back to the classical world to be inspired, to be reborn, to be refreshed, we call it a Renaissance movement.
This is one of the truly great museums in the world, and it has one of the best collections of classical Greek antiquities dating from the 5th and 4th century BC. Olympia was an important site even before it was the home of the Olympic Athletic Games, for it was a religious sanctuary and it held the greatest statue in all of Greece. It was the statue of Zeus that was in the Temple of Zeus on the grounds that we're about to see. We're about to go outside and visit the ruins. This great statue of Zeus was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Unfortunately, it was stolen by the Roman conquerors in the 4th century AD and taken off to Constantinople and then was destroyed later. But there's still many things to see here at Olympia. The ruins are right here at eye level, and it's a beautiful setting, especially here in the springtime with the wildflowers in bloom. There's trees overhead for shade. You'll take a lot of pictures here.
That's a
Gotcha. You're probably right. You're probably right.
Olympia is most famous, of course, as the home of the Olympic Games. These were started nearly 3,000 years ago in Olympia, and athletic events were held once every 4 years, just as they are today. And they would compete in running, jumping, wrestling, boxing, and spear and discus throwing. We travel to Greece in the off-season, which is late March and early April, just before the hordes of tourists arrive. So we have the place pretty much to ourselves.
The ancient people said that the harmony is a healthy mind in a healthy body, the body healthy with the sports, the mind healthy with philosophy, with harmony, with learning. This is the building that is best reconstructed already. It gives you nice backgrounds for your photographs. Only today archaeology does not function as it did not long ago. They used to try and find works of art, buildings. Today they're looking a lot for ways of living. We can profit of the experience of those ancient people in many ways. The temple of Zeus is this very big rectangle you see. It had 6 to 13 columns, 13 on the long, 6 on the narrow. Here at this point where the earthquake made them fall almost complete is the only point where you can size the huge drums and how big were those columns with their flat Doric capitals. The temple of Zeus functioned non-stop for 9 centuries. Zeus was worshipped in it as Zeus or Jupiter during the Roman times as well. And in 395 AD is the law that stops the pagan cults, so the temple stops to function. The games in honor of Zeus stop also because they were considered pagan. In the 5th century AD came the fanaticism by the Christians that destroyed deliberately parts of it, and in the 7th century AD the big earthquake that made fall, especially in that side, the material of that temple. Now across you can see now the administrative center, and that's where also there was an altar where they went to take oath. I am a Hellen, I am not a slave, I'm not a condemned man. The basic conditions in order to participate in the Olympics. This is the sacred way, with the pedestal still remaining in some cases of the statues of the winners all the way to the entrance of the temple that was there. Now, I would say that the cupola, yes, is Roman at times, but not the arch. The arch we see a lot in the Hellenistic period already. All the Macedonian tombs in the north of Greece, like Philip and others that were found, have arched roofs. Here you see the arch of the stadium that was made during that time. So, through this one, as they entered, the heralds announced so-and-so from that city. Now there you see the starting point of the runners, and there is a similar one at the other end. From the one to the other is 192 meters, 0.25. But they could run up to 24 times that length. So in that case they didn't go in circles, he went from the one stone to the other, turned around, raced, and that was for different lengths.
Setting foot in these ancient places brings history to life, especially a site that's so important as Olympia, where the athletic events were held once every 4 years, and this tradition went on for 1,000 years. Outside the gates, you'll find some vendors. Check out these artichokes.
Group that's already
Fantastic
broke.
fresh produce. The foods that you'll find in the restaurants throughout Greece are really quite delicious, a lot of fresh ingredients. And the town of Olympia, which is there to service the tourist industry, has many restaurants you can choose from, a good variety of hotel accommodations.